this brand 100 years young, current, and relevant to so many people. Greg is a 28-year veteran of Japan. He started on the academic field, and since then he expanded his career in a variety of fields, including consulting, trade representation, international diplomacy, retail banking, and people development. It is really for FCC to have a man of these diverse backgrounds to be the featured speaker of this evening. And he time to come to us to give us his insightful story. So please welcome Greg Story, and Greg, please give us your comparing story. Thank you.
So we'll just do a sound check. We sound like we're good. Thank you very much, Kay, and it's my second time actually to address the FCC. Last time I was here, I was representing the Shinsei Bank, and that was a challenger bank talking about how we're taking on the big boys and girls in the retail banking market. And today I'm going to talk about Carnegie. And the brand we're talking about here is a 100-year-old brand, and it's had many, many trials and tribulations to get to this point in time. And it has succeeded, and there are some pretty clear reasons why it has succeeded. I'd like to talk about those tonight. But usually, most of the presentations we get at FCC, and I've been coming here since 2001 to FCC meetings, they're normally about product usually, you know, so you actually see lots of product shots. Well, tonight, you'll see from the slides, it's all going to be about people. Everything you'll see tonight is basically going to be shots of people, because that is what we do. We are in the people development area. Dale Carnegie was in the people development area. So it's very much around those soft skills that we have. And I mentioned in the advertisement, I should say, for this, that one of our biggest fans is Warren Buffett. And I'm going to go to a couple of videos to talk about Warren Buffett, because as I mentioned, it's extraordinary to get someone of his fame and caliber to go out recommending your brand. And we could never afford to pay Warren Buffett. How much do you have to pay Warren Buffett to represent your brand? I mean, forget it. Who can afford Warren Buffett? Nobody. And the only brands he recommends are his own, that he actually Hathaway owns himself, except for Dale Carnegie. And we'll just hear a little bit from Warren tonight on why that actually is.
Persuasion. That's the next remarkable skill of Mr. Buffett, handling people.
My mom says when he was in his 20s, he was reasonably socially adept. I mean, like in large crowds, he'd much rather not be there, and you know, he just would rather be reading and working on his stuff.
So Buffett learned how to deal with people from self-help guru Dale Carnegie.
I was terrified of public speaking when I was in high school and college. I couldn't do it. I mean, throw up and everything. So I took this Dale Carnegie course, and as soon as I finished it, I was 20 years old. I went out to the University of Omaha, and I said, I want to start teaching, because I wanted to get up in front of people and make sure I didn't lapse back.
Carnegie promised anyone could win friends and influence people if they did things like giving people aspirations to live up to instead of nagging them, and using their first name all the time.
I actually have the diploma in the office. I don't have my diploma from college. I don't have my diploma from graduate school, but I've got my Dale Carnegie diploma there, because it changed my life.
There's a critical phrase. It changed my life. And that is the power of this brand. And to have an advocate like this, and you talk about the diploma. Well, let's have a look, see if we can find the diploma, because that's an interesting story too. Bring this up.
Warren Buffett is one of the richest men in the world. His company, Berkshire Hathaway, owns or has a stake in over 70 businesses, such as Coca-Cola, IBM, and American Express.
But this is no ordinary billionaire. He's giving 99% of his wealth to charity, and he thinks rich people should pay higher taxes.
Tonight, we'll see where Buffett's mega deals are done. His private office in Omaha, Nebraska. It is as unconventional as the man himself. What are the other photographs in this room that represent something important to you?
Well, they almost all represent something important. I mean, over here is my certificate from the Dale Carnegie course I took when I was 21. I was terrified of public speaking. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get in front of a crowd and give you my name. And finally, I spent $100 and I took this course. And not only did I get so I could talk in front of people, you know, I can't stop talking in front of people. And during that class, I should mention, Charlie, I proposed to my wife during that. So if I didn't get my $100 worth for that class,
So, you know, you can imagine, he is one of the most successful investor in the world, going around on his own bat, talking about Dale Carnegie and the difference it made. That was one from the BBC, and then one recently this year in February from CBS. And so I've seen a number of these, obviously. Why is that? Why would he say that? It changed my life. Now that is a difficult proposition for any brand to be able to say that. Most of the things we use in our daily life, brands don't change our life. And you see the certificate there in the number 8. That number 8 represents a prompt to me to remind myself there are 8 million fellow graduates, apart from Dale Carnegie, who've also had that big change in their life. So the brand for us lives in the person. It's not on a shelf or on display, it actually lives in the person. So it's quite unique and special. And we think about, as I said, yesterday was exactly the 100th anniversary of Dale Carnegie, starting 1912. Think about this. Dow Jones, 1912, has got a lot of companies listed. Today, how many of those companies do you think that were listed in 1912 are still on the Dow Jones now? Any ideas? Who thinks there's maybe 10? 10?
A couple.
10? Yeah. A couple? 1. General Electric.
No.
Lehman Brothers. Gone. Arthur Anderson. Gone. General Motors. Bankrupt. Kodak. Bankrupt. Yet here's one guy started on 125th Street in Harlem, in New York, the YMCA, teaching his one little course, one guy teaching one class. And yet, he's been able to take the company through 100 years of evolution. There's got to be something very fundamental about that that makes it work. And again, it comes back to that people component. This book, Topics for Talks and Schedule of Sessions, it says, effective speaking, personality development, and influencing men in business. That was an internal document that he'd worked on himself. The turning point, though, was this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, published in 1936 by Simon & Schuster, which instantly became not just a bestseller in America, it became a global bestseller. It became a runaway success bestseller. And in the publishing world, there are 2 fantastic long sellers. When you think about it, most books don't sell for that long anymore. The turnover is quite high. You think about the business books you know, how many are actually a long seller? Not that many. The Bible is a fantastic long seller, and this is the other fantastic long seller, his book. Because you think about it, 1936 until now, it's still constantly, consistently finishing in the top 10 business books in virtually every language around the world, because it's become timeless and universal in this application. So this changed a lot for Dale Carnegie. And also the title, very interesting, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's become a bit of a cliche in English. It's almost like a parody at sometimes, you look at it. But the constant idea was, Well, think about it. We all like to do business with people we like. That's fine. What makes you like them? Why would someone want to do business with you rather than somebody else? And this is the dilemma that Dale Carnegie found that people were facing. And he came up with some ideas. You all distributed the golden books with these principles in there. They were developed to help people become better with other people. And the book is basically the explanation of all those principles. The other part is about influencing people. Well, we want to be persuasive. We want people to buy our product, idea, concept, direction, whatever we're advocating. And he found ways to help people to become more persuasive. And that's why it still resonates. When you read the book in English, it's still very quaint. And most of the examples he is giving, those companies are no longer there, and those people have already passed on. But there's something charming about the freshness still of what he's written that lasts. And this really, in 38 was translated into Japanese. It's become a bestseller of 9 million copies of this book have sold in Japan. That's a phenomenal amount of copies of people who've had this. And for Japanese business people, they say to me, the two Bibles in Japan, Drucker on management and Carnegie on people skills. And that is a very consistent thing I hear from senior Japanese business people to being very successful. So